But my question on your surge is, isn't it inconsistent if we don't, whether it's 2% or 4%, I wouldn't understand why we wouldn't want to add $12.5 million that the manager can budget today as a minimum additional increase over the 2 or the 4 or the 5 or the 3 that could be adopted, as opposed to what's happened in your analogy, which no money was allocated until and held that decision over the last year, I think, under the prior administration and the current, and then the surge began, and they still have to prepare like we would have to. I guess what I'm asking is, members have asked, and then there's some assurance, or at least real possibility not to have layoffs in fire and police, that why wouldn't we adopt 2% today? And again, all the oversight, all the implementation, no one's paying is at the same time, but we're $12.5 million over any amount we adopt on March 2nd. Is that correct, our finance, our law, or whoever wants to answer before I misstate? If we, the council, in its wisdom, the majority adopted 2% today, or even 4% today, then we would be $12.5 million further ahead, plus the 4%, or more than $12.5 million. But if we adopted 2% today, we would be further ahead than if we adopt the 2% March 2nd. We would have $12.5 million more money that we otherwise would lose.
That's correct, Mayor.
If we adopted 4% on March 2nd, we would, and we adopted 2 of that percent today, we would have $12.5 million or more than we would have if we adopt 4% March 2nd. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That 12.5% would go into the general fund. Is that correct?
12.5 million, yes.
I'm sorry.
12.5 million.
12.5 million. Okay. And Mr. Verberg, if the majority of the council was to adopt today, there would be no limitation on what could be added, no limitation that what could be changed. Is that correct? Right. And I appreciate some of the audience that is aware of this, but we have an audience listening here today that this is the first time, and we also have a TV audience that is hearing this for the first time, so I want to make sure everybody understands. So, Mr. Spencer, I'm actually, in my mind, trying to help by if we adopt any type of food tax, we're $12.5 million ahead. We are surging, in my opinion. In fact, we're surging 3 months faster than we would normally have, with the right to review, the opportunity to review, everybody's right to change their mind or add to. I guess I would, especially from your members that you represent and we fight for, and as you know, I have a family member that's police, I would ask for police support individually to at least recommend that we proceed with the 2 and study all the issues that you've talked about.
And Mr. Mayor, let me gratefully respond to your concern by making 2 statements. First of all, any funds generated by that food tax, I would think would equitably be distributed. I think Mr. Cavazos clearly showed that 70% of the budget is public safety. That means fire, courts, and police. Certainly it's reasonable and fair that 70% of those that food tax income would be distributed in accordance with the percentage that the budget shows. But and
I assume you would want that particularly to go to officers that are scheduled for layoffs to save their jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in hopes of not offending Pete Grice here, let me use an analogy. There's a huge economic fire taking place right now, and I can throw a 2% cup of water on it, and it'll put a little bit of that fire out. Or I can put a 4% bucket on it. It'll put more of the fire out and prevent it from spreading so that we can catch our breath and catch up with the economy.
I think we are not at least hitting the same issue. Let's assume we would do the 4%, the bucket, in 2 months. Then we're doing 4% plus $12.5 million. We're doing a bucket plus by starting today. Why wouldn't we do that if using what you want? It's the same amount plus $12.5 million.
I think what we've demonstrated, and I need to exercise caution that I don't, I'm just an individual as part of a community team here. And as a team, we've clearly communicated our position to Mr. Cavazos as far as the percentages and the willingness for the community to participate.
So your recommendation is we not implement a 2% today and wait till March 2nd, till the entire process is over. This, I don't want to make this negative, with the knowledge that if we do adopt any type of food tax after all the public hearings, it would be $12.5 million less than if we started with a 2% today.
My recommendation is to exercise caution, too little, too late. If you have the opportunity to surge quickly and solve the problem quickly, I think we've
would you recommend to adopt 4% today?
Yes.
Okay, but not 2% today and 2% later?
Our recommendation is 4% over 2 years, 4% first year, 4% second year. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Speaking, I think, is Mr. Knowles or our Sergeant Lieutenant representatives here? They said they were coming. Okay. Is fire is here? I see. Well, first of all PLEA members and Phoenix Police, could you raise your hand and just so we can acknowledge you that are here today, both on duty and off duty? Thank you, and thank you for what you all do. Those of you that are here undercover from police, we thank you also. We have to have a little humor. And Mr. Garias from our fire